small, picturesque town of Monroe, Louisiana, served as the backdrop for the emotional and captivating story of Delilah, a woman whose life was marked by unimaginable losses and challenges. There was a certain magic in the air of Monroe's streets, where the Washita River flowed peacefully, a stark contrast to Delilah's tumultuous life. 20 years ago, Delilah was a vibrant woman with a contagious smile and a heart full of love. Pregnant with her daughter Bliss, she poured her energy into preparing the baby's room and dreaming of the happy days she would share with her little family. Clayton, her devoted husband, mirrored her enthusiasm and excitement, eager to welcome another child and strengthen the bonds of their family. In the days leading up to Bliss's birth, Delilah and Clayton were like two blissful birds building a nest for their new hatchling. Their home echoed with laughter and anticipation, each small preparation for Bliss's arrival adding a touch of charm and happiness. Tiny baby dresses, fresh paint in the nursery, and the gentle melody of a music box playing lullabies seemed to fill every corner of the house with love and bliss. They also had a 3-year-old son, Drake, who, despite his young age, seemed to understand the bliss of his sister's arrival. However, like a sudden storm crashing down on a summer day, fate cruelly interrupted these moments of happiness. The night that should have been like any other turned into a fateful and somber night, leaving an indelible mark of sadness on Delilah's heart. Clayton, always punctual, did not return home from work at his usual time. As the hours passed, a feeling of unease settled upon Delilah. And then the news came. A knock on the door, a police officer with a somber face, and the news that shattered her world. Clayton had suffered a fatal accident. The tragedy struck cruelly and mercilessly, like lightning tearing through the sky on a moonless night. Delilah's world shattered when she was suddenly widowed, left alone with her son Drake and the impending arrival of their daughter Bliss. The ground beneath her feet seemed to vanish, plunging her into an abyss of pain and despair. Her heart broken, she stood on the edge of an emotional precipice, facing the cruel reality of giving birth to Bliss in a world that felt empty and cold without Clayton by her side. Yet even amidst such brutal adversity, she knew she had to find the strength to go on for herself and her children. Devastated and grieving, Delilah mustered the courage to face Bliss's birth, hoping that her daughter's arrival would offer solace to her shattered heart. But the universe, seemingly determined to inflict further suffering, struck with a sudden and inexplicable blackout that plunged the hospital into darkness and chaos. In this moment of vulnerability and despair, the unthinkable occurred. Bliss was stolen from her crib, disappearing into the darkness like a wisp of smoke. What should have been a time of renewal and celebration for Delilah transformed into an endless nightmare, as if the universe had conspired to snatch happiness from her grasp. The pain of losing her husband and newborn daughter was unbearable, but Delilah knew she had to stay strong for her 3-year-old son, Drake. Drawing upon her inner resilience and determination, she promised herself that she would find Bliss, no matter the cost, and honor the memory of her beloved Clayton. Confronted with the harsh reality of being a single mother, Delilah found herself taking on the roles of both father and mother to her 3-year-old son, Drake. Despite the overwhelming sadness and grief that consumed her, she made a vow to herself to stay strong and provide for him with all the strength she had left. For the next 2 decades, she became a resilient warrior, working various jobs, no matter how tiring or menial, to ensure Drake's welfare and happiness. Even in her moments of exhaustion and despair, Delilah never lost hope of finding her missing daughter, Bliss. The image of Bliss's innocent face fueled her determination and kept the flame of hope burning in her heart. Meanwhile, Drake, nurtured by his mother's love and sacrifices, grew up to be a hardworking and diligent man. He secured a job at a local factory where he excelled due to a strong work ethic and dedication. Despite facing life's challenges, he never complained, supporting Delilah and dreaming of the day they would be reunited with Bliss. However, Delilah's life was about to take an unexpected turn. An opportunity for employment arose at the luxurious Whitman mansion, owned by the prestigious Whitman family. Leading the family was the sharp-minded Astrid Whitman, a young entrepreneur who took charge of the family business after her father's passing with determination and business acumen. As Delilah entered the Whitman mansion, little did she know that fate was weaving a story that would intertwine the scattered pieces of her life in a way she could never have imagined. Robbie Whitman was a visionary individual, blessed with a keen business acumen and a knack for success. Over time, he established a vast empire that extended across various industries, solidifying the wealth and prestige of the Whitman family. However, Robbie realized that not all of his family members possessed his talents and aspirations. He recognized that his wife Victoria and his youngest son Wade lacked the ability to run the business with the same skill and astuteness he had demonstrated. Instead, they were content to live off the family fortune, indulging in lavish and irresponsible spending. In his later years, Robbie made the decision to hand over control of his empire to his daughter Astrid. He saw in her the determination and intellect that Victoria and Wade were missing. Astrid had shown an interest in the family business from a young age, accompanying her father to meetings and immersing herself in books to learn all she could about the corporate world. Robbie knew that by entrusting the reins to Astrid, he was ensuring that his legacy would be preserved and expanded by capable hands. Astrid, always resolute and dedicated, admirably upheld her father's legacy. She tackled the challenges of the business world with bravery and skill, quickly earning respect as a leader among her employees and peers in the industry. Her ability to make sound and decisive decisions, coupled with her talent for inspiring and motivating those around her, cemented the Whitman family's status as a dominant force in the business landscape. Under Astrid's leadership, the Whitman mansion became a testament to the success and luxury achieved. Every room in the mansion showcased the wealth and refined taste passed down from her father and developed by her, serving as undeniable proof of the power and legacy that Robbie had entrusted to his most capable daughter. Known for her generosity and compassion, Astrid welcomed Delilah into the Whitman mansion with genuine warmth and hospitality. She understood that everyone, regardless of their social standing, deserved to be treated with kindness and respect. With a sincere smile and words of encouragement, Astrid made Delilah feel valued and embraced from the very start. However, not everyone residing in the mansion shared Astrid's compassionate nature. Victoria, the matriarch of the Whitman family, harbored prejudice and pettiness. She regarded the servants as inferior beings, unworthy of her attention or consideration. Her heart brimmed with disdain for those she deemed outside her social circle. The sight of Delilah working in her household ignited a profound aversion within Victoria. Every glance and gesture directed at the new employee exuded superiority and contempt. While Astrid treated Delilah with kindness and empathy, Victoria watched her with disdain, viewing Delilah's presence in her home as a personal affront to her and the values the Whitman family held dear. As tension grew, and Delilah faced unequal treatment from the two women, the stark differences in their characters and values became apparent, laying the groundwork for an inevitable conflict within the heart of the Whitman mansion. On a starry night, fueled by malice and contempt for Delilah, Victoria conceived a plan that would alter the fate of everyone residing in the Whitman mansion. Consumed by a cruel satisfaction, she took hold of one of her most valuable necklaces, a mesmerizing piece adorned with diamonds and emeralds. With the jewel nestled in her hand, Victoria stealthily approached the room where Delilah stored her personal belongings. With a furtive glance and a Machiavellian smile playing upon her lips, Victoria opened Delilah's bag, carelessly resting on the dresser, and discreetly placed the jewel inside, ensuring its concealment beneath the fabric lining. As she sealed the bag, a somber satisfaction embraced her, convinced that her plan was flawlessly orchestrated. The following morning, Victoria gathered everyone at the breakfast table. Wearing a mask of feigned concern, she declared, "I'm devastated. My emerald necklace, a gift from Robbie, has gone missing. I left it in my room last night, and now it's vanished." Upon finding the necklace in Delilah's bag, Victoria assumed an air of outrage and betrayal. "Delilah, how could you? Stealing from us despite everything we've done for you," Victoria proclaimed, a look of triumph in her eyes. Despite Delilah's protestations of innocence, Victoria's accusations led to Delilah's expulsion from the Whitman mansion. Astrid, visibly unsettled and confused, had no option but to let Delilah go, given the seemingly irrefutable evidence. Once a place of warmth and kindness, the house was now cloaked in sorrow and deceit, laying bare Victoria's malice. Departing the mansion with a heavy heart and a sense of injustice, Delilah stole a final glance at the place that had been both her residence and workplace. It was then that a sight caught her attention. Standing at the edge of the garden, Astrid sported a bracelet glowing with familiarity, a simple piece adorned with colorful beads and a heart-shaped charm. Recognizing it as the same bracelet she had gifted Bliss on the day of her birth as a symbol of love and hope, Delilah couldn't shake the bracelet from her thoughts as she headed towards the mansion gate. The possibility that Astrid could be her long-lost daughter sparked uncertainty and hope within her, quickening her heart rate. Days later, Astrid sought out Delilah, her restlessness palpable as she couldn't come to terms with the circumstances surrounding the alleged theft. "Delilah, I must speak the truth. I don't believe you stole my mother's jewelry. Something about this entire situation feels amiss," Astrid declared, her gaze resolute and concerned. With a pounding heart and shaking hands, Delilah resolved to confide her suspicions in Astrid. "Astrid, the bracelet you wore when I got dismissed, it's the exact one I gave to my daughter Bliss when she was born," Delilah disclosed, her eyes brimming with emotion. "Where is your daughter, Delilah? You never mentioned having a daughter. I thought you only had a son," Astrid responded. "Astrid, I had a daughter 20 years ago, but she was taken from me. Since then, I've been searching for her. The only lead I have is the little bracelet I placed on her right after her birth," Delilah replied, her voice trembling. Taken aback by the revelation, Astrid paused before replying. There was always a sense of secrecy surrounding my family's history. My mother never shared much about my past. If you think I might be your daughter, we must uncover the truth together. From that point onward, Delilah and Astrid teamed up to solve the enigma that enshrouded their lives, resolved to unearth the truth that could alter both their fates forever. Astrid, fueled by the fervor of one seeking truth, confronted her mother, Victoria, in the opulent confines of her office at the Whitman mansion. Tension and anticipation hung thick in the air. Mother, I need you to unveil the truth about my origins. Delilah suspects that I might be her abducted daughter. What transpired? How did I become part of this family? Astrid demanded, her gaze intense and defiant. Victoria hesitated, her complexion paling and hands trembling as she struggled to craft a response. So, you choose to believe the fabrications of a maid who stole from us, Victoria retorted, visibly vexed. I understand, Mom. I trust you. Yet, this all seems so peculiar. Dad always claimed we were premature infants, but we were large babies. If you have nothing to hide, I insist on a DNA test. If you decline, I'll undertake it with Delilah, Astrid declared, resolute. In the end, Victoria, buckling under the weight of accusations and expectations, crumbled. Her once proud and disdainful eyes now brimmed with tears of desperation. With a faltering voice, she revealed the truth she had struggled to conceal. Yes, it's true. That woman you saw as just a maid is your biological mother. After a pause to gather herself, she continued, I couldn't conceive. I longed for a child to fill the void within me. Despite my humble beginnings, I harbored grand ambitions that could never be realized in poverty. So, I made a fateful choice. Wearing a false belly, I orchestrated a scheme to have a child stolen from me. Your father desired a son to inherit his empire, but the scheme went awry. They took you, a girl, instead. I was angry but powerless, so I had them take a boy as well. Victoria's once resolute voice now dripped with bitterness and remorse. Surprisingly, your father grew fond of you, loving you beyond my expectations. Wade, always falling short of his father's hopes, paled in comparison. Yet, I had achieved my goal, having evaded and prospered. Then, one day, I returned home to find that woman here. Of all the people, it had to be her. I felt compelled to act. I planted my jewelry in her bag, hoping you would dismiss her. But you, always compassionate, always standing up for the downtrodden. You just had to investigate, didn't you? Victoria's tone turned venomous, laden with malice and resentment. You were worthless. I should have abandoned you in that hospital to endure the destitute life that woman would have provided. You're ungrateful. Astrid stood speechless, shocked and tearful at her mother's admission. Her heart pounded as she grappled with the staggering truth just laid bare. How could you, Mom? She questioned in a hushed tone, struggling to fathom the revelation. You snatched two innocent children and shattered their families. I am Bliss, and Wade is another stolen child. The pain and anguish you've caused are immense, Astrid uttered, her voice quivering, tears cascading down her cheeks. As the pieces of the puzzle fell into place in her mind, reality crumbled around her. Everything she had held true about her life now seemed to disintegrate before her, engulfing her in sorrow and despair. Amid sobs, Victoria attempted to justify her deeds. I only wanted a family. I sought a better life and provided you with one. You should be grateful. If you had grown up in that household, where would you be now? Waiting tables. Wake up, Astrid. That woman couldn't have offered you the comfortable life you lead. Through tears, Astrid retorted, she would have given me genuine maternal affection, something you never bestowed upon me or my brother. We were always left in the care of nannies. You were superficial, neglectful, prioritizing money and possessions. You're self-absorbed, constantly belittling me, fault-finding in all I did. My father cherished me, but you, disdain and exploitation were your ways. As the startling and agonizing truths emerged, Astrid understood it was time to rectify past errors and confront the repercussions of Victoria's deeds. The veil of deception was lifted, bringing an end to Astrid and Delilah's quest to reunite. A fresh chapter was on the horizon, with justice demanding restitution and lost lives yearning to be rediscovered and restored. With the jolting disclosure of reality, Astrid's world shattered and reconfigured in an instant. It felt as if the ground beneath her feet had given way, only to solidify again, unveiling an entirely new landscape. A life once built on falsehoods and treachery was now bathed in the harsh light of truth and pain. Victoria, previously an untouchable figurehead, now stood exposed as a perpetrator ensnared in her own web of deceit. Justice moved swiftly and unrelentingly. Victoria was apprehended, her once proud visage now etched with defeat and shame. Her mansion's walls could no longer shield her, and her wealth and influence could not purchase her innocence. In an unexpected turn, Victoria found herself compelled to negotiate. Pressed against a wall with no escape, she collaborated with authorities to dismantle the criminal network she had enlisted years before. The woman who once reveled in opulence and indulgence now found herself in a stark cell, bargaining her cooperation for a glimmer of freedom. The concept of plea bargaining, once alien to her, now represented her solitary chance to evade full retribution for her actions. Observing this unfolding drama, with a blend of astonishment, relief, and sorrow, Astrid processed the spectacle. The Whitman mansion, once a beacon of affluence and achievement, now harbored a concealed shadow. Astrid's seemingly flawless life was abruptly thrust into turmoil and disarray. In the midst of turmoil, a beacon of hope emerged. Astrid had at last reunited with her true mother, Delilah, and her brother Drake. Delilah, who had spent 20 years pondering the fate of her missing daughter, now held her close. Drake, who had always yearned for a sister, finally embraced Bliss. The family, fractured by a cruel act, was now whole again, poised to mend old wounds and forge a shared future. The saga of Delilah, Drake, and Bliss exemplifies the potency of love and the resilience of the human spirit. Despite their trials, they clung to belief and hope, ultimately discovering the bliss they had sought. In a startling yet heartfelt resolution that will forever resonate with those who witnessed their journey. Thus concludes the tale of Delilah, Bliss, Astrid, and the Whitman family, a narrative of love, grief, suffering, and redemption. It demonstrates how truths may be obscured, but never erased, and how a mother's love endures eternally. This narrative serves as a reminder that even in dire circumstances, hope and fortitude can guide us forward. Let us take lessons from the errors of the past and construct a brighter future for ourselves and those in our midst. Gratitude goes to you for viewing, and I trust that you found pleasure in this heartfelt tale. Thank you.